morning, viewers. This is Rick Stivers with YoungMartin'sReels. Today's project is going to be this J.A. Coxe reel. It is a model 25-3, and I'm not going to do a whole lot to this reel. Basically, at least I don't believe so. We'll see in just a second. It's a rather unique reel, so I decided I'd go ahead and do a short video on it. The first thing I noticed when I went to look at this reel is that there are no screws. If you look at it, you don't have an exposed screw anywhere on this reel. And that's one of the reasons I decided to do this video. Well, there is the one for the pawl is it's a screw head, but that's the only screw head that you see on this whole thing. And so I wanted to do this video so that if somebody out there had one and they were trying to figure out how to take it apart, that they didn't break it. Somebody, it looks like, has maybe tried to pry up on this one just a little bit right there. It's got a little chip on the edge of it. And it says right here, pull to turn. And if you do that, when you do, it unscrews the axle shaft out of the reel. Okay? Now, the next thing that comes off is this cap, which is held in place by that. Now, you'll notice there's a large pin right here, and that large pin goes into that hole right there, and that tells you, how to index this and keep it all lined up. See how it locks into place? And then that axle shaft will hold that in place. All right, there's the clicker. We're going to tell you what, we're going to go ahead and service this reel while we're here. Now we're going to take out the spool, and now this is where I was a little bit leery about going any further with this reel. It does appear that this outside is held on by this screw right here, and this cap, of course, holds the handle on. So I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and remove that screw and see if that doesn't go ahead and take this. I'm not going to be scrubbing the patina off of this reel. I think it looks really great just like it is. I will clean the worm gear a little bit if I can get it to that. And let's go ahead and remove that screw and see if it doesn't help remove that. Trying to find a screwdriver that's an appropriate size for it. That's too wide or too thick. This one here is a really thin, really wide screwdriver. We'll see if it will get in there. Yes. Okay. As thin as it is, and look, I've made that really thin, it's still kind of thick for that. So now that I've got it broke loose, I'm going to go back down to my smaller screwdriver. We'll go ahead and unscrew that. Now, it doesn't seem to want to come out any further than that, so that's why I'm a little leery. Okay, there we go. Oh, look at that. The other side did just come out, so this had nothing to do with that. Okay. All right, I'm a little bit baffled as to what that is then. This one goes in this side here. It slides in. Okay, so apparently this side is supposed to, it just comes out when you take that axle shaft out. So we didn't need to take that screw out. I just didn't want to pull on it. But there you go. It comes right out. And I just dropped a gear out of it. And that gear was in this hole. All right. Oh, look at that pinion. That pinion fits into there right like that. Okay. All right. We'll clean that in a minute. Now this assembly here, if you look at this cam system here. When it turns one way, it pushes that out and locks it into the spool. But then when you back it off the other way, it unlocks it and allows it to go into free spool mode. I wondered how they had done that. And I don't need to take this handle off for this. I still don't know what this is, except that it's a braking system for the spool. And I really think that's exactly what it is. I think this adjusts that brake. It started to come, it got to a point where it just wanted to stop. And I was afraid, okay, there we go. It comes out. Yeah, it appears to just be a brake that rides on the inside, so you have to adjust that. And that is a brake right there. Okay, this is your spool. This is going to prevent... Oh, now I know what it is. That's your spare pawl cap. Wow, very nice. It's not on the outside where it can get lost. It's all on the inside. So that's your spare pawl cap. All right, this is a really neat reel. We'll keep that in there. We're not going to take it out. Okay, that's got that. We're going to scrub that up. This is the brake, and this is adjusted right here using this brake adjust. And I'm not going to turn it any more than that. I'm just going to back it off just a hair. So that's the brake for it. We're going to clean that up. And okay, and we don't want to lose that pinion. All right, let's see what we got left. We've got our pawl. Let's hope that the pawl is not damaged, so we won't need that other pawl. Let's go ahead and unscrew the pawl cap. And I will take my little needle nose and see if I can get hold of that pawl. Oh, that pawl is in really good shape, even though I dropped it. It's in really good shape. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, with that out, all right, this gear can now come out. And we've got 2 screws holding in the worm gear. And since I really do want to clean the worm gear well, we'll go ahead and see if I can unscrew those. If I have to put a lot of pressure on these screws, I'm going to stop, because I don't want to take a chance on breaking them. Now, I'm going to leave those screws in there. They're tight, and I'm going to leave them right there. I can get an adequate cleaning on this pawl just by rotating it and cleaning. So that's what I'm going to do. I will show you that, but I'm not going to show you the cleaning of all the rest of these parts. We'll spray some WD-40 in here, and I will take a long bristled acid brush, and we will simply do this, and I'll rotate it a little bit and clean it again. A little more. Okay, and then remove the pawl carrier over and do the same thing to this other end. There we go, it's rotating on its own now. All right, and then we'll do a rinse. I will stand by, I'm missing my rag. Okay, I'm going to do a rinse now on that worm gear. You see, there wasn't a lot of dirt left in there, but there was some. So, all right, we've cleaned that out. I'm going to make sure the pawl is clean. All right, when I come back in a moment, this reel is going to be cleaned up and ready to go back together. Okay, I lied. Everything is not clean yet. I do want to show you how I go about cleaning these little tiny pinion gears, how to clean them. And I'll take them and slide them up onto a ice pick and spray them with a little WD-40, and then just take my brush and go through and scrub all those little teeth, and that gets all the junk out of there while not trying to hold it with something that's going to damage it. You don't have to grab it with a pair of pliers or anything. As long as it will slide up onto an ice pick and you have one, you can easily do that. Parts are now clean. Oh, wait a minute, didn't clean the spool. Yeah, well, it doesn't really need it. It's fine. Okay, parts are cleaned, and we're going to go ahead and see about reassembling now. And there's not a whole lot to it. I love the way this is made. We're going to go ahead and put some grease on that. I keep getting a lot of questions here lately about what grease I'm using. In my videos, most of my modern videos, or newer videos, I use Super Lube, just because you can see what's going on better in the video, not because I think it's any better than any other. When I'm not shooting videos, I use my pen reel grease. Just depending on what's going on, what I'm shooting. Okay, that's got that. This gear now will sit down inside here like this. And see, it will turn one way, and then that cam will lock in like that, and it'll lock it. But when you backpedal the handle, now it can free spool, which is pretty cool. Okay, we are going to go ahead and put this part back in without the pinion, because I think I can just set the pinion onto the axle or spool, and then slide the axle through it, and it'll all be fine just like that, instead of trying to hold the pinion down in there while I'm doing all this. All right, this one's going to go into there, and this should slide together like that. Okay, and that's got that part in. Looks like I got a little bit of dirt left right there. Yeah, a little bit of dirt. I don't want to try to clean everything off this. All right, so that's got that. Nope, this isn't all the way in. There we go. Now it's all the way. Make sure it snaps all the way down closed. All right. Now we'll come to here. This is where we have the spool, and we have the pinion. And the pinion has got this four-way point on this side. See it? That fits into this four-way cross right here. Like that. And in order to help hold it all together, I believe what I'm going to do is put a little grease on there. But the most important thing I'm going to do is run the axle shaft through it. Okay, I'll slip that on there, and that should help hold it into the cross. Come on, you can fit in there. All right, like so. Okay, then we'll take the axle shaft and we'll slide it through here like this. And that's feeling like it's got a little drag there, so let's add a little grease right there. And now, since the axle has to spin inside of the spool, we're going to go ahead, or the spool spins on the axle sits still actually. Okay, I'll slip this in. Let's put this axle shaft back up through here. There we go. That feels fine now. We're going to slide the spool back up through here. I'm going to hold that pinion in place until it slides through the axle. There we go. And now we should be able to take and put this whole assembly right back inside here until it fits in the hole. There we go. Now rotate this around until that pin, remember the big pin that we had, that now drops into the hole. That drops this over, and now we can screw this together. And there we go. Now look, see, it will spin this way, and you backpedal it, that relieves that cam. And as that cam is released, now you have free spool mode and you can cast. Okay? And as soon as you wind it, now it doesn't have a drag or anything like that. All right, now notice that our worm gear is not, our level line wind isn't working because we haven't hooked it back up yet. But let's go ahead before we do that, and let's oil the worm gear good. and I'm using Penn reel oil. It's actually in a Lucas reel oil container because I like the Lucas container better, but I buy large quantities of Penn and put it in these. So is the Lucas any better? I don't know, but I sure do like their container. But I know it's considerably more expensive. So that's why I buy Penn in quantities. Okay, we're going to slide the okay, and it's moved it out just a hair. That's what I needed. We want to put some oil in there. Pawl. There we go. Crank that down. Okay, now the pawl isn't moving, so let's go ahead and give it a little boost and hold it in place. Okay, now it's turning. All right. Let's go ahead and start the cap on. And we don't want to tighten it all the way down yet. I'm going to tighten it down until it just starts to make contact, and then back it off just a hair. Then rotate it, make sure it's moving. Make sure it moves freely, and then tighten it a little more. Make sure it's still free. And then tighten it down the rest of the way. One of the reasons that I quit working on reels to begin with, I started exploring with them when I was about 17 or 18, and I got one of my grandpa's reels after he had died. I guess I was 19 then, and I got one of my grandpa's reels and I destroyed it by not using that procedure for tightening that down. I destroyed it. I tore up the worm gear, destroyed the pawl, and I felt really, really bad about it. So I stopped working on reels and always left it to my dad. But if you know that, how to tighten that, and get that in there, you'll know. I just put it in and tightened it down, and I had it in there cockeyed, and it destroyed it when I tried to wind it. Okay. I'm going to tighten this down a little more over here. Okay. That's good. We could tighten the drag, but I don't see any sense in it, or the tension. We got slight movement from side to side. I think we might be able to take some of that out by tightening this a little more. Yes, okay. And there you have the J.A. Coxe model 25-3 reel. I just thought it was really neat the way it goes together and comes apart, and decided that I wanted to do the video of it. I've got like 50 reels that I'm knocking out in the next 10 days, and I wasn't planning to do videos on hardly any of them, but when I saw this reel and saw how unique it was in the way that it comes apart and goes together, I decided that it was definitely worth the time to take and come back and take it back apart, clean it and service it. And I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please hit the like button. Oh, there you go. That's one of the problems. Well, let's go ahead. I'm going to pull this back out real quick, and I'm going to show you what isn't working on this reel. Okay, take this out. I meant to show you that before. Okay, if you look right here, the very tip of the clicker has worn off. Okay, so because it's worn off, when you push this in, it doesn't make contact with the teeth on the spool. Wait a minute. Yeah. Now I got to see if there's a way to tighten that up. That's what's wrong. The teeth, because I thought that still looked a little long. No, the gear itself is not tight on the spool. It's turning. And I don't see any way to tighten it up on the spool. I believe what he did is they designed this to ratchet so that when you're going one way with it, it clicks, and if you go the other way, it just ratchets backwards, and the ratchet isn't working. So I'm going to go back real quick we're going to take this apart one more time and see if by spraying some WD-40 into this and blowing it out, if I can free it up. Okay, I blew it out good, and nothing I did seems to have any effect. That just free spins on there, and I don't think it's supposed to. I think if somebody wanted to fix this, they could probably put a drop of, and make it click all the time. I think you could probably put a drop of super glue into that, and I think it would probably lock it right up and bring it back. But this is a pretty neat reel that I'm not going to mess with any further. We're going to sell it. Ken's going to sell it, and he wants to sell it just as is. So we're going to leave that alone and not go any further than that. I don't want to break a potentially valuable reel. All right, so let me slap it back together. Okay, and we gotta go back one more time. One more thing I forgot to do. Is I forgot to grease the gear. Which, if it's going to be a shelf sitter, that's probably a good thing, but if somebody actually wanted to take it out and fish it with it, they would probably appreciate having grease on the gear. I'm going to put a little bit on the pinion gear as well. Let's put the side plate back on. Oh, it's got to fit into, yeah, it's easier for this gear to be sitting down over the cam lobes when you go to put this together. Trying to get it to slip into that slot once it's over is not that easy to do. Okay, so oh, I messed it up twice. That gear, the little gear actually does come off of this gear. So let's go ahead, put this one into place, put this one into place. There we go. Both gears are on. I'm showing you all my mistakes, folks. I don't hide anything. And let's put a little grease on that gear as well. And now slide it back together. There you go. Okay. Hold that in place. We've got this side over here put back together now. I'm going to slide this back up inside. Align the pinion in there. Rotate it around so it drops in. Then align our pin over here. There we go. And tighten it down. There you go. You do have an operational one, but the bait clicker does not work. I believe I could rig that so that it would work, but I'm not going to do that. So there you go. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Tell me what it is you didn't like about the video. For now, that's Rick Stivers of YoungMartin'sReels, signing out.